is Jamie Magrich. Welcome to Jamie's Craft Table. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. It is a shaker card. I don't know if you can see it in there. This stamp is not Stampin' Up. However, there are some Stampin' Up Snowflake stamps that would make this card beautiful. I just don't happen to have them. So let's get started. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm going to be using Stampin' Up Snow Globe Scenes dies. I'm using the trees and the deer. I'm also using the circles, the stitch circles and the nested circles or layering circles, and some snowflakes from Christmas Layers dies. Okay, so out of the circles, I'm using the second and the fourth from the largest and the largest of the stitched ones. Okay. For this background, I'm using this Hero Arts stamp. I'm going to be using Misty Moonlight, Balmy Blue, Gorgeous Grape, some sponge daubers, and I have a piece of old olive cardstock, a scrap of old olive cardstock that I cut the trees out of, a scrap of gold that I cut the little deer out of Whisper White. I cut the second to the largest, this one, in Whisper White, and also out of the clear acetate. I don't know if you can see it, that's why I kept the tissue paper behind it. Okay, and then also out of Whisper White, I've cut the largest of the stitched circles and the fourth from the largest out of the center of that, also out of the Whisper White. Okay, goes away. Okay, out of the snowflakes, out of Balmy Blue, I cut two sets of these two snowflakes out of Balmy Blue and one out of Whisper White. Okay, let's set this all aside. Bring in this. Okay, so I'm going to use Holiday Rhinestones. So obviously I had a scrap of gold. It's about 2 inches, a little over 2 inches square. It's 2 inches wide by like 2 1/8. Okay, I have a scrap of the old olive, just large enough to cut those trees out of. Balmy Blue scrap to cut 2 sets of the snowflakes. My Whisper White. Those are all the scraps. Okay, now I have a piece of Whisper White, which is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. I have another piece of Whisper White, which is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and if you wanted to, out of this one you probably could have cut out either your snowflakes or one of your circles. Then I have a card base, and this one is 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded at 5 1/2, just something different. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, well, let's go ahead and adhere this piece right to the front of our card. That way, it's one less thing I have to keep track of. And I'm just going to center it. And then set it down. Okay, I also have some sequins that are not Stampin' Up because I don't have too many of theirs. Alright, let's bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. And I need a scratch paper. I had one here ready. Alright, now we're going to do the background. So I'm going to take this piece here. It's probably easier for me to hold it this way, so well, maybe not. Let's just go ahead and do it this way. So I'm going to ink the whole thing with balmy blue. And again, you could probably use those watercolor snowflakes and stamp up a background. That would be really pretty. I just wasn't able to purchase those this time, so let's ink this all up with the balmy blue. Okay, then I'm going to come in with my sponge daubers, the Misty Moonlight, and I'm going to pick up some ink onto my dauber, and I'm just going to randomly stamp some balmy blue ink on here. I mean Misty Moonlight ink. And then I'm going to come in with Gorgeous Grape. I'm going to do the same thing with the Gorgeous Grape. Just a little bit here and there. Okay. Now I'm going to just breathe on it and stamp it down onto my paper. Give it a good press. There we go. That's what we came up with. Okay. Now we're going to bring in the circle, the full circle, the smaller one. And we're going to bring in a sponge dauber or a makeup brush, whatever you want. And we're going to use the balmy blue and we're going to sponge this background. Now you could probably have cut this out of balmy blue instead if you'd rather. I'm just going to do a light coating of the balmy blue around. Then I'm going to come in with the Misty Moonlight. Dab off some because you don't want it harsh. Really light touch with this color because it's dark. You use your sponges. Okay. And get something like that. I'm going to turn it over. I want to show you, I want to try it with the makeup brushes. I think it's a much softer look. So I'll come in with one of my makeup brushes, pick up some balmy blue, and I just stuck my finger right in that ink pad. It's a smoother look. I just like it better. Both are nice. Okay, let's come in with another one. And the Misty Moonlight. See, there's with the makeup brush. It's nice and soft. This is with the I don't like these, but I'll go ahead and use this side. Like I said, you could probably just cut a circle out of the balmy blue paper, and you would probably be sufficient with that. Alright, now we can assemble this part of it, figure out which part we want to use as your top, and I kind of like these big snowflakes, so I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to come in with my trees, and then put it down here at the bottom. And I want to lay this and make sure that you're not going to have any hanging out. You can always trim it off, but figure out where you want your trees. And go ahead and glue those down. Good. Okay. Now we're going to let's see. We're going to take this piece, and I've cut some strips of foam tape. Now Stampin' Up! Has nice strips of foam tape, or you could use the foam sheet. Again, I don't have any right now, so I'm using what I have. So I've cut little strips, and I'm going to take the back off because it makes it easier to move. And I'm going to turn it. Actually, this isn't right. I did it on, because this piece I forgot. I gotta put this on first. Oh, stay. Gotta put this on here. So put glue on here. Let's stick this on. Okay, now you can put this on. I'm not use this one since I already used it. See how the backing makes it difficult? So if you take that backing off, it is bended much more easily. This is 3M foam tape. And I just cut it down into, it's a like almost 3-inch strip, and I just cut it into 4 pieces. Make sure you butt them together so nothing comes out when you're shaking it. One more. Here my snips, snip this. Okay, now I'm going to bring in some sequins. Again, these are just some from my stash. I couldn't even tell you. They're probably just some I got at the Dollar Tree or something. And I'm going to put those in there. I'm going to add a few of these white ones. I didn't put them in my other one, but there's these little tiny iridescent white ones. I'm going to add a few of those in there too. Okay. Now I'm going to put this on here. Cover up that foam. Okay, now I see these are hanging off the edge, so I want to snip those off. Just go behind and snip that off. Okay. Now we're going to put glue on the back of this. We're going put it on here, make sure those trees are going up in the right direction. Okay, then we're going to come in with our deer. I'm going to snip off this bottom part, most of it. And I'm going to adhere this deer. Right down in here. Okay, let's bring in our card base. Adhere this to the card base. Make sure it shakes. Sometimes those sequins I got probably more in there than I need this time, but alright, now we're going to bring in those snowflakes. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of them. Put one here. And put one of the other big ones up at the top, blue ones up here. I'm going to put the white big one up here at the top. The white little one is going to go down here on this frame. One of the blue little ones will go up here. Another one down here. This is one time where I actually have an even number of elements, but then I'm going to bring in, I'm going to use these holiday rhinestones. I'm going to put one in the center of each one of these snowflakes. There you go. There's a card we just made together. Here's the one I did previously. One thing I did do different is I put the deer on the outside of the circle instead of under the plastic, because it was kind of difficult to make sure the deer was lined up with the trees otherwise. Well, thank you for joining me at Jamie's Craft Table. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope you can find a little bit of time to play with some stamps, ink, and paper.